Hello, it's Rebecca here from Precious Paige's Papercraft, and today I'm designing a layout for Papermaze using the new Garden Shop collection by Paige Evans from American Crafts. And I've been waiting for this collection to arrive for a while because I've got some photos of my little boy in the sunflower fields, and I know this collection's got lots of flowers and some sunflowers in it, so I've been waiting for it to arrive. So yeah, my photo is my little boy amongst the sunflowers, and I've cut it in a hexagon shape. Now I love hexagons and I use them quite often, but I wanted to do something a little bit different today and challenge myself, because whenever I use hexagons I tend to use them with the flat edges at the top and the bottom, whereas on this layout I'm trying to use them the other way, so I've got the pointy part of the hexagon top and bottom. Which is something I've never done before, and hexagons this way really do bug me. But I wanted to have a play. It takes me a little while to decide how I want them to sit on my background. But I get there in the end. So I've got my photo, like I said, cut as a hexagon. It's mounted with white cardstock, and then behind that I've got a layer of green basil cardstock, and then I've cut another hexagon from paper number 8, which is that gorgeous daisy pattern with the green background, and then I've matted that with a kind of yellowy orange or almost sunflower coloured cardstock. Now both of those cardstocks are from the Matchmaker pack, which is something I love about Papermaze. Every collection Vanessa stocks, she puts together a basil Matchmaker pack, which is a set of basil cardstocks that match the collection, like different colours that will match the collection therewith. So those colours work really well for my colour scheme today. So I've got my hexagons in place. I have fussy cut lots of sunflowers from paper number 7. That's my favourite paper from the collection, I think, or one of them anyway. It was my favourite, and then the more I've used this collection, you know how it is, you have one favourite, then you have 2 and 3, and before you know it they're all your favourites. But yeah, that was my favourite one. So I fussy cut loads of those just to adorn the page, because they work really nicely with my photo. Then I've added some of the leaf clusters. Those are from the floral die cut pack. So I've got one at the top and one at the bottom there, just tucked in behind my sunflowers. And then I've pulled out a couple of stickers from the sticker book. Now they are clear, so you might have seen there with that one I've used as my title. I actually used a Distress Oxide on some white cardstock. It's fossilised amber, which is again a nice sort of deep yellow colour. Coloured the cardstock in and then stuck that sticker on top, because as it was with see-through, it wasn't going to show up against that busy daisy paper. So, and I didn't want it on a white background. So by colouring that cardstock first, it just gives it a nice yellow background to sit on, and it stands out a lot more now. And that's got some kind of like foiled texture as well. It's like a bronzy or rose gold kind of colour, and that's throughout the collection, and there's loads of stickers in the sticker book that have got that foiled appearance to them, so really pretty. So I've used that as my title, and I've just sat that on that top hexagon there with a I think another sticker and one of the cardstock stickers. And then I've got another sticker from the sticker book. It's like a little kind of like blackboard, and I've got that down at the bottom there. Again, I've matted that on white cardstock just to give it a border. It was again another see-through sticker. It just makes it a bit more sturdy and gives it that white border so that it doesn't get lost. And then I wanted to add a little something to my background. I didn't really want to go too messy with my mixed media. I didn't want to take away from the colours in the papers I was using. I didn't want to make it sort of too busy on the page. So in the end I settled on a Tim Holtz stencil, and I'm using again Distress Oxide. So I'm using 2 different ones. I've got the fossilised amber again, that lovely deep yellow colour, and I'm also using Mowed Lawn, which is that lovely green colour. And I'm just adding a little bit of colour here and there where it's going to show behind my hexagons or my flowers. Nothing major, just a nice subtle sort of addition to the page, but it just really elevates it and adds a little bit to the background and makes the whole page more interesting and kind of ties it all together nicely. So then once I'd done that, I was a bit unhappy about the fact that there was nothing behind my hexagons, but I didn't want more of that stenciling. I didn't want it to look too uniform and kind of blocky on the page. So I decided just to use my blending brushes and add just some colour to those areas, so it will sit just coming out from underneath those hexagons to give it almost like a glow underneath, like a shadow, but it's not too much colour that it takes over the page. It's just, again, a nice subtle detail, and that's something I love to do with those blending brushes. They're brilliant for adding colour directly to backgrounds, like I've done there, or through the stencils. They work really nicely with stencils, and obviously Papermaze stock hundreds of stencils, so yeah, I do recommend getting yourself some blending brushes to have a play with your stencils, because it's so much fun. And once I'm happy with that background, I'm going to start getting everything stuck down now. So I'm using lots of craft foam to bring in some dimension. Always raise my photo up on foam just to make sure it stays as the focal point of the page and doesn't get lost. If it stands out sort of off the page more than everything else, I find that it just keeps it kind of what the page is about. And then I'm using foam just behind little bits here and there to raise them up, so the edges of the leaves, a little bit behind the flowers, just where they're sitting flush on the background and not sort of overlapping those hexagons. So I do get through a lot of craft foam, but I do love the stuff. It just brings great dimension and texture into pages. It just makes things a bit more interesting than having it all sort of flat on the page, especially when you're layering and clustering. It's really good to add some foam behind things. And that was kind of where I'd kind of planned my layout up to and thought that's what I wanted to do. But I felt like it needed just something around the outside edge, and I didn't really want to put a frame or a border. So I had some more of these sunflowers fussy cut from paper number 7, and I thought I would use those in a couple of the corners diagonally across the page. Now they did have a straight edge, so I could have just sort of placed them in line with the edge of the layout, but I just felt like it was a bit too big. So instead I just crisscrossed some double-sided tape in those 2 corners and then stuck the clusters on kind of at an angle, and then that allowed me just to have a little bit in the corner, and then I trimmed off the excess from the back. But then decided I wanted to have a little bit of that ink behind it, just sort of to keep it in keeping with the rest of the layout for consistency, kind of repeats the mixed media in those corners. So I had to lift them back up a bit to get my blending brush back under. So in a minute you will see I have to go down with some foam and just stick those down because they're all bent up now. Should have thought about the mixed media before sticking those down, but never mind, you live and learn. And then I've also added a couple of heart stickers from the cardstock sticker set. That's like a 12 by 12 sheet. It's folded in half when you get it, with lots of stickers on, and they've got those foiled kind of rose gold hearts in there. So I've added a few of those, and I think I bring in a few more from the sticker book as well, and I find another little buzzy bee. I've taken a bee from the cardstock stickers. It's just sat underneath my title there on that daisy hexagon, so I just brought another one in down the bottom there. And then just finishing the page off with some gold splatters. This is a metallic gold acrylic paint. Just water that down slightly and use a paintbrush to splatter it. I just love the fact that gold works so well with this colour scheme, with like the greens and the yellowy oranges. So that just finished the page off nicely. And there we go, that is me done. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed the layout and it gives you some inspiration. The collection is up on the Papermaze website, so I will leave a link in the description box below to that for you. So do check it out. It's a really beautiful collection. It's full of colour. I know I've stuck to a really limited colour scheme for this layout, but there's loads of different colours in it, and you'll see in my next layout, which is a bit more colourful. But it really is a beautiful collection, so well worth checking out. So like I said, the link to that will be in the description box below. But thanks very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.